Alright, so we got some promising news on the Eagles injury report. Granted, there are also a few names up in the air, but it looks like that could lead to an opportunity for some rookies to make their mark. Meanwhile, how does Washington's trade for Marshawn Lattimore affect Philly? Plus, we all know how good Zack Baun is, but what the Eagles could potentially pull off is crazy. So, just how much would it take for Howie Roseman to actually get a deal done? And it may have taken a while, but it looks like Vic Fangio is about to unleash Jalyx Hunt. So let's talk about it. But first, let's run it. What's up, guys? Sorry, delayed getting a video up because we've been battling some crazy sickness, but make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, because we're going to be giving away this signed Saquon helmet on my Friday night live stream. Now, while you are taking action to win that helmet, Eagles GM Howie Roseman decided not to take any action at the trade deadline and stick with the squad in Philly.
Well, guys, looks like we're on our own.
Just feel so strongly about our team and how he's done a great job of building it to date that, didn't feel like at that time there was anything to do. So, I feel really good about the people that we have here, the guys that we have here. Feel strong about the depth at our, the starters at the position and the depth at that position. So that speaks for the work that Howie and his staff have done, from the draft till now.
Okay, I'm curious to get y'all's thought, though. Do you think that Howie should have actually made a move before the deadline? I mean, I guess technically he did, just not the one any of us were hoping for. As I should point out, the Eagles did make a move announcing on Tuesday that they were releasing tight end Albert O, meaning Howie finally admitted the Albert O experiment was a failed one, with the tight end playing a grand total of 4 games while registering just 1 target. This, by the way, coming at the expense of the Birds' 2025 6th-round pick for a swap of Denver's 7th. And yeah, when you think about it, that's not really much of anything there, so probably worth a flyer to at least see if you hit a home run pick there. However, the deal everyone's talking about is the New Orleans Saints trading 4-time Pro Bowler Marshawn Lattimore to the Washington Commanders, as the Commies traded this year's 3rd and 4th-round picks in exchange for Lattimore and the Saints' 5th-round pick. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that's a pretty solid deal, and you can clearly see the opportunity in front of them. Heck, who wouldn't at 7-2 and the 2nd best offense in the league? For real, the Commies have only turned the ball over 3 times this season, which is the fewest turnovers by any team in the first 9 games ever. Oh yeah, and they've also got the most efficient offensive drive efficiency in NFL history. But relax, this team is not a juggernaut. When it comes to weaknesses, it's definitely on the defensive side for the team. So with that being said, even though Lattimore isn't the Pro Bowl level player he once was, he's been a reliable defender when he's on the field. In fact, his coverage grade has been near the top 20 this season, and he now allows Washington to get more creative on defense. Yet the reason I bring this up is because I've gotten several comments saying, man, Howie got fleeced. Which FYI, in case you're not following, I'm talking about the fact that the 3rd-round pick Howie Roseman traded for Jahan Dotson was essentially used in a roundabout way to acquire Marshawn Lattimore.
I state my regret.
You're right, maybe so. But at least Dotson's gaining some more confidence. And remember, he's also reminding people he's a 1st-round pick.
People tend to forget that, I was a 1st-round pick, I can make plays. It's just because I'm the 3rd receiver in this offense, I don't get a lot of opportunities, so I got to make the most of them when they come. But I have the ultimate confidence in myself when the ball's in the air that I'm going to come down with it. I'm going to make a play.
I appreciate that, but as several of you also pointed out, we've got a guy like Jalen Reagor who was also a 1st-round pick, and we know exactly what happened. But come on, not every pick is going to end up being a home run. Sure, would I love to see Jahan Dotson start playing a bigger role in influencing games? Yeah. Yet when you got guys like A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith in the passing game, as we've seen, he's not going to get many targets. However, having said all of that, even if the Dotson trade ends up being a miserable flop and a waste of a 3rd-round pick, I can still live with the fact that the trade-off considering the absolute steal that Howie got in Cooper DeJean. By the way, speaking of steal, you've got to take advantage of all the deals Underdog's offering right now. Like, for example, all new customers can get a free C.J. Stroud pick for Sunday Night Football when you scan the QR code and use code Philly Special at sign-up. You guys know I mention Underdog quite a bit because, after all, they are the official sponsor of the Philly Special show. But they're constantly updating with new games, promos, and insane payouts. Like, check out their newest mode called Pocket Presents, where I basically just swipe left or right on whether or not I think the quarterback will go over the yardage total. And then, after making a couple selections, I can choose to enter that in my play or go back and edit it. Plus, Underdog's offering an additional 20% bonus in payouts when you try it out. Or if you want to go with my favorite game, then check out Underdog Streaks, where you start by picking 2, but then as soon as those picks green, all you got to do is pick 1 at a time from then on out. And once you hit 11 in a row, Underdog will pay you out up to 1,000 times your money.
A lot of dough. Wow.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I still haven't gotten there yet. I've gotten up to 8 picks, though, a couple times. Also, I know not everyone has the pick'em options available to you, but as a reminder, the weekly draft leagues are open. So now that your survivor pool is done and your fantasy team's in the dumps, why not restart with the weekly drafts? I'm just saying, if you want to join the best option in fantasy sports and support the channel, then scan the QR code, use code Philly Special, or just click the link in the description and use my code Philly Special, where you can get up to $1,000 in bonus cash on your first time deposit. Anyway, I'm not sure even Howie Roseman could have imagined the difference that Cooper DeJean's had on this defense. Like seriously, if you go back and watch, Coop's presence out there as a hybrid nickel/linebacker has basically allowed Fangio to stay in nickel even when the offense looks like it's very clearly running the football. Which is why it's no surprise that the Eagles' defense ranks 5th in success rate, 5th in opponent yards per play, 6th in opponent offensive points per game, 10th in defensive efficiency, and 12th in EPA per play. And when you ask Coop, there's one catalyst that's led to the young guys contributing so quickly.
I think really the older guys in our room, just them having trust in us, to go out there and do our job on the field, and then them, teaching us, throughout the week, helping us prepare. They've been doing that since we got here, so that's been a big part of it. But the biggest thing is just them trusting us when we're out there, treating us like we've been out there and we've played for a while, and just everybody being on the same page.
Is it surprising how quickly it's all come together when you look at it?
I don't know if it's surprising. I think we got some great coaches, that have helped us prepare for this moment. We got a lot of young guys, but a lot of guys who are eager to learn.
When you get a receiver that comes in motion, you actually saw this from the Jaguars a couple times in this game. When he comes in motion and lets stack set and starts breaking towards the inside, this is usually some kind of an indicator that it's going to be a deep over route. And so you could see right now, look at Nakobe Dean, look at his eyes. He's ready to pick up this over route. I'm sure Cooper is probably voicing that, right, to Nakobe, that, hey, alert for the over route coming in your direction. But look how disciplined Cooper stays with this route. He doesn't get overzealous. He doesn't try and play over the top of this or try and undercut the route. He trusts his technique. He trusts his role in the coverage, and he stays on top of that double move. Trammell actually did a decent job of selling it. He breaks back towards the sideline, and you see that DeJean is able to play through this and, again, get the ball on the ground, no flag, great job. So you got the communication there between first DeJean and Quinyon, and then between DeJean and Nakobe. But even on the backside of this play is what you're going to get here from the Jaguars is what I call a levels concept, where you've got the shallow cross, the in cut, and then you also have a little Texas, little angle route out of the backfield as well. So you've got these three routes that are being passed off. And right away, look at Isaiah Rodgers. He's already pointing out the drag route. He's pointing out that shallow cross as his guys there underneath have to pick that up. And watch that communication travel down the chain here. Now you see Zack Baun. He's pointing, hey, shallow, shallow, shallow to Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean's got to get eyes on that shallow crossing route from Brian Thomas Jr. And remember, Nakobe already kind of had this in his vision, the Trammell, the over route potentially from Trammell. So now Nakobe, he has got to handle that route coming from his right, but instead he now has to drive on that shallow cross. He's got to be there to defend that short of the sticks because they don't want to catch and run for a first down. So he's able to close on that. Baun is sitting in the window on the in cut. Reed Blankenship is jumping on the Texas route, on a little angle route in case that's where Trevor Lawrence decides to go with this ball. So just across the entire scope of this defense, I thought you saw really good communication.
Shout out to the coaching, man. Like, we didn't see anything like this last season, which is why I was trying to encourage a lot of people this past offseason, because just because it was a similar system or scheme didn't necessarily mean it would be as bad. Especially when you got a DC like Fangio with 40 years of experience, who can not only coach, but also can pick a diamond out of the rough. Perfect segue here, honestly. Is there a better story in Philly than Zack Baun? I mean, the dude is 27 years old, had barely played a handful of snaps at the off-ball linebacker position, and just about everyone assumed he'd be an edge when he was immediately signed. However, Fangio saw the potential to turn him into one of the best inside linebackers in the NFL.
He's good. With my help, he could be the best.
Look, initially, it was hard to see that kind of potential that Fangio saw in Baun. Yet whenever he made the comment about acquiring the new free agent and kept talking him up, a lot of people said I was crazy for saying it was a clear sign that Fangio thinks highly of him and that Baun would start.
How do you tell somebody that you care about deeply, I told you so?
Okay, in all fairness, while I did expect him to start, never in a million years did I expect him to be the second best linebacker in the league, but that's where we're at. Seriously, through 8 weeks, Baun's graded out as the number 2 in pass coverage, trailing only All-Pro Fred Warner. And oh yeah, he's also the 6th best interior linebacker based on overall grade. Although despite how unbelievable that might be, it's no surprise to Vic Fangio.
I trust my own eyes, my own experience, and go by that. Back in the day, I had Sam Mills, Vaughn Johnson, and then more currently, Roquan Smith, Fred Warner, those are, Navarro Bowman, Patrick Willis, those are some of the guys. I haven't been associated with Warner, but those other 3 I have been.
How much has it changed over the years?
It's changed drastically. it used to be when the fullback disappeared, the ILB's duties changed. It's just as simple as that. You used to be able to play with some overachieving type ILBs that could be stout against the run, cover a back in the flat. But now, with the game spread out, they're in open spaces way more. There are a lot of people that want to know what the majority is thinking and kind of take the easy way out. But I've never been that guy.
All right, old school flexing on them haters a bit. I like it. I mean, why shouldn't you when you've got a guy who's putting up crazy numbers like that, including a missed tackle rate of just 6%, which is no doubt, as I said, credit to the phenomenal coaching. But yeah, the rest of the league may not have been noticing before, but they are now.
Eagles got themselves a dog in number 53. First play of the game. I'm not going to cheat these clips to start it off. Zack Baun, he just has a simple hook curl drop. But watch, eyes on quarterback Trevor Lawrence. But here's a beautiful part. He has enough athleticism to crossover run, get enough depth with his eyes on the ball. Trevor Lawrence going to try to get this ball over his head. Very first play of the game. Incomplete pass. Athleticism. Let's keep it pushing. Second play of the game. Again, like I told you, I'm not cheating these clips, especially not early on. Second play of the game. Watch Baun. Watch his patience. Boom, patience. Patience. Squares the line of scrimmage. Watch his keeping a base with his feet. Squares the line of scrimmage. Come back. Boom. Chest to chest. Tackle. First play of the game, brilliant job pass defense. Second play of the game, brilliant job run defense again. Now I'm going to take you to the very fourth play of the game. Here's the fourth play of the game. Watch Baun. Watch him right here. Watch this dude. Watch this dude. Open field tackle. DeJean is a first-round pick running back. Open field tackle. No, sit down. Sit down. Sit down. I mean, the dude is an absolute monster. Here's what else I dove about Baun. He does the little things right. Right now, he is the curl flat defender. That means he has to get as wide as the widest. He instantly gets his width. Now he gets his eyes back on Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback. Now he closes in as a curl flat defender because he realized he doesn't have any work taking him to the flat. Trevor Lawrence throws a pass. His linebacker running mate breaks it up, and then Baun, full extension, layout, I need that interception. But that interception is not made possible if he does not start out by getting his width instantly on the play as a curl flat defender. Get your width. Get your eyes back to the quarterback. Width. I mean, this is teach tape stuff. Then break on the ball, get the interception. I mean, this is teach tape stuff by this OB, and whoa, it gets even better. I love this way Baun plays the game. This is what the Eagles have been missing. Simple inside zone. These two offensive linemen are trying to double team the Baun, but watch how slippery he is. Slithers through there, tackle for loss. I can't even say the freaking word slithers, but he can do it. Slithers through there, tackle for loss. That dude's just a beast right now. Pass coverage, first play of the game. TFL, second play of the game. Open field tackles, third play of the game. Interceptions, fourth play I showed y'all. I mean, what are we talking about here? He can do it all right now. The Eagles are a complete unit defensively because you got a glue guy like Baun just holding it all. This is just clinic tape. Clinic tape.
Look, this is hands down Howie Roseman's best signing by far this offseason. And here's the best part. Fred Warner makes $19.5 million a year with the 49ers. Meanwhile, the Birds are getting a super close production level from Baun for only $1.6 million. Which brings me to the topic that everyone's been talking about. When and how much will Howie Roseman sign Zack Baun for? And for that, I turned to Anthony DeBona to ask what kind of offer would be comparable for Howie to get a deal done with Baun. As first off, Anthony brought up Andrew Van Ginkel's 2-year, $20 million contract for $10 million guaranteed in Minnesota. Remember, he had a career season under Vic Fangio in Miami with lots of similarities being drawn between their games, so that one, obviously makes sense. Of course, the more recent contract being signed that's comparable would be Cleveland's Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, as the Browns linebacker signed a 3-year, $35 million contract with $24 million guaranteed back in August. So, doing the math on that, the Eagles would probably be looking at about $10 to $12 million per year for Baun. Now, personally, I'm of the mindset to just get a deal done with Baun so we can lock him up for the core long term. Oh yeah, I'd also rather not make the same TJ Edwards mistake by letting him go to Chicago. Let's not forget that Clay Harbor and others confirmed that TJ was actually still interested in Philly despite initial reports suggesting he'd made up his mind to go to Chicago, when in fact the Eagles just never offered him. And turns out they could have kept him for the bargain of $6.5 million per year. Yet here's my fear. I know Howie's shown that he can learn from mistakes, but he also doesn't value linebackers that highly. So would he go to the table with a lowball offer to Baun?
Wow, that sounds like a really good deal.
I don't know. I mean, look, Howie's done this before where he's like, hey, I've hit on this. Maybe I could do it again. I keep betting on myself here. But ultimately, when it comes down to this dude's a dog, as we've seen. You absolutely have to sign him up. Yes, I know you drafted Jeremiah Trotter Jr. It's not the worst backup plan, but you don't really want to say, oh, let's just go that direction when you clearly have an all-pro player. Okay, serious question here. What do you guys want to happen and what do you expect will happen? I kind of think I know the first part, but do you think that Howie Roseman learns from his mistakes? Personally, I just hope he listens to Fangio and takes his advice, because obviously he knows what he's doing. And on the topic of Fangio projects, it sounds like we're going to see another one of those in action soon in Jalyx Hunt.
We feel good about the rotation. I think all 4 of those guys have done a nice job. And then we'll see if Jalyx getting into the mix as well. I think he's been doing a good job at practice to be able to go that. So we feel like we have 5 guys in that rotation that can get after the passer, that can crush the edge on the run.
Seriously, why not put the Rook out there for some snaps against Dallas? After all, the Cowboys will be without Dak Prescott, who's out with a hamstring injury, and may even be without CeeDee Lamb due to an AC joint injury in his shoulder. Plus, considering the fact that Bryce Huff is in the proverbial doghouse, only playing 6 snaps last week, and was seen with his wrist heavily wrapped in practice, it only makes sense to give Big Pimpin some reps. I mean, remember, this is the same guy who Fangio reportedly banged the table for during the draft due to his skill set, versatility, and athleticism. Like, yeah, honestly, when you watch him, there's no pass rusher who looks more comfortable dropping back into coverage than Hunt. I'm all for it. I mean, it's only going to pay dividends later on in the season by him to actually get meaningful snaps and then, eventually get into the playoffs. Maybe he plays a rotational role. Oh yeah, another thing to think about here is that Nolan Smith is in jeopardy of not being able to play, or at the very least could be limited due to a groin injury as well. So heck, put the Rook out there and see what he can do. For real, the dude's only played 17 defensive snaps all year, but has a sack and a forced fumble in that limited playing time. Also, the Eagles announced that they brought back Tarron Jackson to the practice squad. Of course, he's a familiar name since he appeared in 21 games over his first 2 seasons before eventually falling to the practice squad in 2022 and 2023. And then Jackson ended up finding his way onto the Panthers, where he played 28 snaps before being released there as well. But at least it's some added depth in case of injury, and you never know given how Fangio views his potential from back this preseason. Anyway, at least on the injury front, the Eagles appear to have some good news with A.J. Brown back at practice and moving around well. And Dallas Goedert was seen doing the same coming off of his hamstring injury. Now, obviously, it's still a pretty lengthy injury report, but you'd imagine most of the guys end up back in time for Dallas. Because even though they'll be without some of the guys, you're not overlooking them. Especially seeing as though Micah Parsons appears to be close to returning and could be matched up against Fred Johnson. But I'll get into full injury updates and breakdowns in my next video. For now, do me a favor, hit the like button, make sure to subscribe, turn the notifications on, and oh yeah, by the way, if this video gets up to 2,000 likes, I'll go ahead and give away any Eagles jersey of your choice. Until next time, this has been the Philly Special.